2 games tonight, Rich. Oh, man, we taking the overs? What do you think? Preseason overs?
He doesn't know what you're talking
Excuse
about.
me.
Chris.
I know what he's talking about.
What do we got?
And
What do we got, Rich?
Sometimes you know and sometimes you don't.
Here's what I've got to say on this. Easy there, Phil Mickelson.
I read that Phil
Easy.
story this morning, and I was like, I got to step my game up.
Easy.
I'm a lightweight.
Easy. Did you wind up betting on the Hall of Fame game?
No.
Good for you.
I mean,
Wait a minute, tell me this Phil Mickelson story.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my gosh.
What? Go for it.
So there is a new
Go
book,
for it, Chris.
new book coming out by one of the most famous sports gamblers, this guy named Billy Walters. Him and Phil became friends in the early 2010s. And just the reports, he kept detailed records of him and Phil's relationships and the bets they would share together. And basically, Phil bet about $1 billion worth in 5 years over the course of about a 5-year period. Over 1,000 bets of 110,000 to win 100,000. Another 800 more of 220,000. Reportedly, this guy Billy Walters talked Phil out of betting on himself in the Ryder Cup in 2012, a match which the Europeans won because, in famous fashion, called the Miracle at Medina, partly because Phil lost his match on Sunday to Justin Rose. A $400K bet that he reportedly talked Phil out of. Yeah, Phil's a maniac.
Wow.
And this is way more and way bigger than we thought of the gambling issues that Phil had that was detailed in the Alan Shipnuck book.
Well, and you know, 3 things. Number 1, he's got a sickness. Number one. I can't imagine. He must live his life where he's got to have action on literally everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I can't imagine that it just goes away. Like suddenly you don't have to have action on everything. And we just saw a video of him with Bryson DeChambeau about to play a
practice round. 9-hole practice round at the recent Live event. Phil's talking about betting 2,000 on the practice round.
So that's number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2 is maybe he had to go to the Live Tour. Did the Live Tour get him whole?
I mean, that's been the speculation.
I mean,
kind of
is
the
that
whole
what
time.
it is? Did the Saudis basically get him out of debt, gambling debt?
Who knows?
We will never know. And then number 3 is I asked the thief among us, figuratively, to see if this is dishonor amongst thieves writing about this stuff.
Well, Billy Walters has a little bit of beef with Phil.
Clearly.
This guy went to prison for 5 years for the insider trading thing a while back. And he claims that Phil could have avoided his prison sentence by merely, quote, telling the truth.
And so by not doing that, he's now telling the truth about Phil in a book. Go buy his book.
Correct.
Talking about how Phil just
Among
has to
other
have
things,
action on everything.
And also his life. He's in his 70s. His life as a sports gambler and a famous sports gambler. And, there's a chapter or 2 about Phil and their relationship.
That's sick, man. And I'm not saying sick like in the 21st century way of saying that's wild. No, it's ill. That's an illness.
Mm-hmm.
I said this all the time, man. I said this all the time. Screw it, I'll just conflate the 2, which it might be doing so by saying the word conflate. If Pete Rose had ever come out and done what Mickey Mantle did at the end of his life about alcoholism and parenting and saying, I was a bad parent because I was an alcoholic and I am dying and don't be like me, and went on a tour of Oprah and whatever, and basically was open about this is what happened to me. Don't be like me. I think if Pete Rose had ever done that about gambling, he'd be in the Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum in Cooperstown, New York right now. 1,000,000%. If he came out and said, I had a gambling sickness, you damn right I bet on the Reds. That's why I signed that document. And I would like back in, and my way of being back in is this is a sickness. Gambling is a sickness. Do not be like me. I had the money. I ended up losing it. Obviously, Phil has money. We think. But this is a sickness. I view this, and I'm not like, that's wild, man. Oh, gosh, Phil's a character. No, I'm thinking he's got an illness. Shoot you straight. Straight up. That's the way I view it, and I understand. I'm not a gambler, so by trade and by profession, I can't be one. So
I like having a little action.
No,
but,
I hear you.
9-figure losses is.
I'm fine with the fantasy football and with my buddies being the extra action, if you will.
Play little cards here and there, but
yeah.
Good God. He once there was a report that
So you're
had,
betting $220,000 to just win $20,000 less than what you put on the table. That's how sure of a thing it is? Is that the way?
Yeah, I mean, there's some things out there. He famously bet $20K on the Ravens to win the 2000 Super Bowl at 28-1. You know, he bet one day he bet 43 different baseball games.
What?
He bet $1 million in a day on baseball, essentially.
Dude.
Yeah.
I saw a game the other night in Anaheim where it was all buttoned up, and then the 6-run ninth happens. I mean,
yeah. I mean, that's drives gamblers
last
crazy.
night. Hold on a second. Last night in baseball, we saw Michael Lorenzen pitch a no-hitter in his first game as a Philly.
Yep.
And we saw a baseball land in the light of the Green Monster.
Yeah, that was amazing.
So anything can happen.
That's a ground rule double,
almost
right?
in any sport. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean,
So does that answer your question as to what that story is, TJ? You're like, wait a minute, what story?
My mind's
That's
blown
the
a little
story.
bit.
Don't you
that's
think?
the
I
story,
mean,
yeah.
well, whatever.
reportedly $100 million loss for Phil.
Well, maybe. And so if there's a group of individuals that he clearly, as he stated publicly, he finds disreputable, and they say, we will give you X amount of dollars, and then you look at your bank account over the span of all this time, I don't know if that put him in the red or not. We have no idea.
We'll never know.
Highly successful guy who, by the way, if he wanted to, without all this craziness, ever since he won the PGA championship,
Crazy.
you know, it's just been, when he's thumbs up in with his aviators, like, hey, everybody, you know, and he became the darling of the United States for everybody. It's been just nothing but down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But he seems really happy. He looks great. None of this apparently seems to be affecting his physical or mental state. Maybe it's because his financial state is as good as it's ever been.
Yeah, he's in the black again.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.